Right, and for more analysis, we're joined from Washington by Mr. Peter Roth, contributing editor at Newsweek. Good evening to you, Mr. Roth, and let me here start by asking you: this sweeping tax and spending bill passed by a single vote and includes tax cuts, increase in the national debt ceiling, and Medicaid cuts. What does this razor-thin margin tell us about internal GOP dynamics and the future of this legislative agenda in the Senate?
It's going to be a tough slog to get the bill through the Senate. It's always a tough slog to get a tax bill through the Senate, whether you're raising them or lowering them. Senators have their own prerogatives, and there are fewer of them. They will argue for those, and it's going to be up to the president to bring them together so that they can reason and come to a solution that's acceptable to all parties.
Right. On his campaign, President Trump vowed to eliminate taxes on Social Security income, now, which is monthly payments to people with disabilities and older adults. Now, the House bill fell short.
The taxes on benefits, yes.
Right. Now, the House bill fell short of delivering on that promise. Now, how do you think that may affect the people who depend on Social Security from your point of view?
Their position could only be better. They will be fine. And the economic growth that this bill will produce.
Now, would you elaborate?
Will assist them in with lower prices, more choices, more opportunities, and a better economy. So it's not as bad as it sounds. I'll also say that if this bill didn't go through, the American people were looking at the largest tax increase in history automatically, because rates would rise. Rates are scheduled to rise. And this bill is not actually so much a tax cut bill as a keep the tax rates where they are bill. And if that tax rate went into effect, what you would see is tax relief for the wealthiest Americans, while the middle class get pounded. So the Washington Post,
but this is exactly the point.
Not surprisingly, has their analysis upside down.
This is exactly the point we're speaking about, sir. That those who will really reel from this bill would be the middle class and those who are dependent on the security, on the Social Security.
They're big win. They're largely big winners here. Yes, absolutely.
In which way?
That they will save money on their tax bill, number one. Number two, that because this is happening soon enough for people to plan for next year, they will be able to make savings and investment a priority so that we can look forward to economic growth. When the economy grows, everybody benefits. Everybody gets richer. The rich may get richer faster than the poor get richer, but everybody gets richer. When the economy stagnates, the poor get poorer, the rich get richer by not as much.
But those are dependent.
Grows in a bad economy. We want a good economy.
But they depend on the social, on their social
on their Social Security and food stamps and all the rest and Medicaid, and I understand that. But what happened under Obama and Biden is those programs were expanded so people that really didn't need to be on them were allowed to join them. And so what the Republicans are proposing on Medicaid, for example, is making Medicaid less accessible to able-bodied men and women who could be working so that we can preserve the Medicaid for single mothers with children and pregnant women who absolutely need it. And we're not saying the bill doesn't say we're cutting your benefits off. The bill says if you want these benefits, you have to work. You have to show that you're putting some effort in the system. You can't just be a free rider.
But we're speaking about elders also. Now, figures like former President Obama.
Healthcare for the elderly is Medicare. in the United States. They're two different programs. Everyone over 62 or 65 is eligible for Medicare, and nothing was done to Medicare. We're talking specifically about Medicaid, which was originally designed to provide health care to the working poor.
Now, why
who
would...
couldn't otherwise afford insurance.
Right. Why would figures like former President Obama, for instance, criticize the bill, calling it a direct threat to millions of Americans' health care and livelihoods? And how likely is it... Right. And how likely is it that this opposition can steer the public resistance? What's your say
politically? Politically, Barack Obama's opinions are irrelevant right now. The Democratic Party has moved beyond him. He is a pleasant memory. The idea in his system, the idea supported by Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and the other left socialists in the Democratic Party, is to have every American depending on the government for their health care, not just their health insurance, but their health care. An intermediate step is to get as many people as possible on Medicaid. And that's what has happened as a result of Obamacare and the reduction in the work requirements that were imposed by the Republicans under Obama and Biden. And so people who don't want to work have access to Medicaid. What the Republicans are saying in their bill is, if you want Medicaid, you have to show that you're working. You have to show that you're doing something, that you're not just sitting at home if you're able-bodied. If you're disabled, as my eldest son is, if you can't work, Medicaid is there for you. But if you can work, but you choose not to, and you're not out there looking for work, then why should other people be paying for your health insurance? Why should other people be paying for your health care when it's a struggle for you to pay for the health care you have?
Now, Republicans passed the tax cut bill by a single vote, celebrating it as a Trump-era revival. But with $2.3 trillion added to the deficit, critics call it a debt bomb. How is this reconciled with traditional GOP rhetoric about fiscal responsibility?
The biggest fiscal responsibility that any government has is to create an environment in which the economy can grow, in which jobs can be created, living standards rise, and people can be paid higher wages. The debt as a percentage of GDP is alarming. The only way that we are going to get away from that debt bomb is by growing the economy. We are a $30 trillion economy. We need to be a $40 or $50 trillion economy. And then the debt is a percentage of, the deficits is a percentage of GDP. The debt is a percentage of GDP, not so much of a problem. There are no Democratic votes for cutting spending. Not a one in the House of Representatives. Every Democrat just voted to raise taxes on the middle class while cutting taxes for the wealthy. And they are resisting all of the spending cuts. Now, that to me is the definition of fiscal irresponsibility, not what this pro-growth tax bill is doing.
That remains to be seen, Mr. Peter. However, our time is out, and Mr. Peter Roth, contributing editor at News Week, we thank you so much for your insights, and I guess that brings us to the end of today's episode of In Focus, and stay tuned for more updates on Qnews.